Welcome back to another edition of the Knicks Sunday Stream with Keith and the Fox. I'm your host, Keith, joined as always by my co-host, Stephen Fox. Foxy, man, how's everything with you?
All is well. Shout out to you. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the SB
Foxy,
Nation.
you did me dirty.
What
You
do
didn't tell me I had my do-rag still on. What's going on here, bro?
Oh, I thought you were just doing you were being stylish tonight. I thought you were just acting a little different tonight, but you're looking good anyway. But shout out to everyone. Big win yesterday. Can't wait to chop it up. How you feeling?
I'm doing good. I'm doing a little bit better. I was a little under the weather, but coming around. The Knicks did a solid. They did having a couple of wins, helped me feel better, especially on Saturday, being able to come back from that deficit in the second half and get that victory over the Nuggets. So that definitely had me hyped this weekend. How about you? What's going on?
Everything's good. I've been watching about 2,000 basketball games a day with the college. So I've been Kentucky just lost, but yeah, I've been enjoying my college games. And yesterday's Knick game, I was on the edge of my seat, but we won. Different Knick team, man.
Yeah, definitely. It was nice to see Jalen Brunson back. I was a little bit nervous. There was a moment where he kind of dived out of bounds, and I was a little, cautious. I didn't want him to hurt himself, but he was able to come back. He wasn't as effective in the second half as he was in that first quarter, but when the moment was on the line, he was definitely able to step up in the clutch. So big kudos to having our floor general back out there on the court. And I'm extremely excited with the way this team has performed. During our last stream, we were on a 3-game losing streak, and now we're back on another uptick with a 3-game win streak. So I'm liking the way that this team has been playing. Julius Randle, he's still been hit or miss in some of these games, but what I like is you see a lot of these other guys stepping up. We talked about RJ Barrett last stream and how he was struggling. He's been looking a lot more efficient out there on the court. Manuel Quickly, he had another 20-point performance since we had our last live stream, so kudos to him. And Josh Hart, he's been doing everything out there on the court for us. So it's really an exciting time for the Knicks here towards the end of this season. And right now it's all about pushing to see how high we can get in terms of the seeding. So I'm extremely excited with the way this team has been performing. It's been somewhat of a roller coaster here and there. We've got some things to talk about when it comes to Mitchell Robinson and some comments he put out there. But for the most part, everything's on the up and up, and you got to be thrilled.
Absolutely. 10 games to go. Could you believe that, man?
Yeah.
10 games to go. And it's a game of cycles and up and down. So I'm hoping last 5 games or so, both RJ and Randle haven't been shooting it well from 3. So I'm just hoping the cycle is by the time these 10 games are over, they're on the next up cycle of their shooting. So we hit the playoffs and they got their stroke going.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Just want to give a shout out to a few people in chat. We've got JJ. He says, let's get it. Thank you. Salute to you. Big Chino says, roll up and burn one on a Sunday. I hear you on that one. Good vibes, man.
Yeah,
good vibes.
I love my Big Chino.
Soul Train 68 says, what up, homies? Got that echo going on. Is there an echo?
Nah, I'm with Big Chino, so I don't hear much.
Yeah, let us know in chat if there's a echo on. 19 comment NYC says, Keith got caught with a silky on. Facts. Definitely got caught. Let's see. JJ also says Nuggets did us a favor beating Brooklyn today.
Facts. Right. Shout out to Shimmy MD, my buddy, Angel Torres, Cormega, Dwayne Dennis, like you said, the one and only John Talento, and JJ, 19 Con Man, NYC, Geraldine MacGyver, the one and only, Carlos Delgado, Dwayne Dennis. We'll be catching up with a lot of you. Can't wait for your comments. We love chopping it up with you.
Yep, salute to Cormega.
Amari Belgrave.
Yep. Also, if there's any audio issues, please let us know in chat so we can try to rectify it. I know some people said the audio was a little bit low yesterday. I'll try to speak up a little bit louder. They call me soft-spoken, Foxy. They must not know me.
They don't know you. They've never been with you in an MMA fight.
Right? Yeah, I hear you on that one. All right, and Kerry Cox says we're good on the sound. That's good. So, Foxy, anything that stuck out to you during that victory against the Nuggets that you wanted to touch on before we dive in?
Just the impact, like you said. Hey, I love Jalen Brunson, but he better watch out. Josh Hart is stealing my heart. I just love the way that guy plays basketball, man. Assist, rebounds. In fact, he's too unselfish. There was a couple times he's under the basket. Shoot the damn ball, man. Don't kick it out for that. But I'm really, really happy. I felt badly that Deuce didn't get any time. I wanted him maybe to get a few minutes, especially after the previous game he played. But Jalen came back. It's a different team, and I'm real happy the way we're playing with 10 games to go. We're beating some quality teams, so this is real, man.
Definitely, you beat the Nuggets, one of, if not the best team out in the West, and you do it by pushing through when times got rough. I was a little nervous there seeing the Nuggets when they started to streak in that second half, but we were able to turn it around. Our bench unit, we got a bench mob. These guys are bullies. I think when we have the bench unit out there, it's going to be minutes that we're going to win. And it was great to see, the synergy that's developing between the two Harts. That's I-Hart and Josh Hart. You look at what Obi was able to do. He was able to have a solid game as well. 2 of 5. But I like some of the energy that we saw from him out there. So that second unit is definitely starting to find some rhythm out there. And also Quick, he didn't necessarily have the best shooting performance, but he did hit some key shots and some key moments. There was a corner three, I believe he knocked down. That was he was shooting while he was fading out of bounds. That was a nice boost to our momentum. So when you look at this second unit and what they can do defensively and the offense that's provided from a guy like, Josh Hart pushing the pace and opening things up in transition, you really have to be thrilled with the way they've been playing.
Yeah, there was a play where IQ did a pocket pass to I-Hart, who then got to Josh Hart. That was like beautiful basketball. That's team basketball. That energizes everybody. I saw that. I was screaming. I love this type of basketball.
Yeah. Especially after they were able to turn it around too, because a guy like Quick, he started the game off a little bit funky. I'm like, what's going on with these turnovers? He's not typical of a guy like Emmanuel Quickly, but he came back in. He kind of figured it out, kind of calmed down, and he really helped, navigate some tough waters with that second unit.
No doubt. No doubt. Hey, it's a long season, but like you said, he hit that big corner three, and he did a few other things, and just held it together. That's what it's all about, man. And you're gonna have some good plays and some off plays. You just gotta have a short memory and just keep it going.
Yeah, there was also a nice pairing I saw out there that Thibs used. He had Quick, Grimes, and Hart out there. And I think defensively, we really locked the Nuggets up during those minutes when those three guys were out there on the perimeter. So that was nice to see. Hopefully, that's something that we can use also in the playoffs when we're going to have a lot of perimeter threats out there. And if we can lock up with those three guys, I think we're going to be in every single game.
Absolutely, and RJ's been playing some nice D the last few games. Solid defense. A couple of those guys are elite, but yeah, so it gives us a whole lot of leverage, or Tibbs a whole lot of leverage. Who's playing well, who's not. Get them out there on the perimeter, and like you said, these are dogs, especially that second team with RJ heading up that second team. These guys, you can just see the look on the other opposing team, like, damn, they have a good first team, but this second team is beating the hell out of us. They are really physical.
Yeah, and you look at a guy like Julius Randle. You talked about how he playing well defensively. Julius Randle, I think, struggled in the game defensively. But what I liked is the fact that even though he was struggling defensively and he hasn't really been firing on all cylinders offensively, the other players on the team have helped to lift him up and take some of that burden when we've seen him struggle, especially when Brunson was out in the last 2 games. So that was definitely, encouraging. If we can continue to do that, because Randle, there are going to be moments where teams are going to try to game plan to shut him down. It's going to be on these other players to kind of step up and elevate their game, especially come playoff time, if we want to at least get to the second round, which I think is a realistic goal for this team moving forward.
Yeah. And if I was Tibbs or Johnny Bryan or whoever has his ear at the moment, I'd say, hey, don't be jacking up too many threes. If it's not falling, then, use that great driving ability, get to the hole, get a foul, try to get those easier buckets, but don't just keep, checking them from three if they're not falling.
Yep, and JJ agrees with you as well, Fox. He says 3-point shooting is still a concern. Yep, it is a concern, but you have to look at this team and realize we're a little bit ahead of expectations, but this still isn't a bona fide championship team or championship contender. So there are going to be some holes here and there. 3-point shooting is one of them. Hopefully this offseason, that's something that we'll be able to address. But moving forward, if when that 3-point shot isn't falling, if we're finding other ways to manufacture some points, then you'll live with it. So far, we've been seeing them push in transition in order to get some other points and some easy buckets. You look at the offense offensive rebounding, second chance points. That's another area we can look to step things up and get even better at. Even though we are dominant in that area, but if you want to try to overcome that 3-point shooting, those are areas in the game where you can try to get some easy points to help alleviate some of the poor shooting that we've been seeing.
Yeah, and when you dominate, Joker and Aaron Gordon on second chance points, that's saying something, man.
Definitely. So as you can see, in the games that we've won, those are usually areas in which we've outplayed teams. Second chance points, offensive rebounding, and pushing the pace. Even though we don't do it a lot, but with the addition of Josh Hart, we've definitely seen an increase in our effectiveness in that area.
And another thing is, all I've been asking is, as long as foul shooting, if we have an 8 there, so we've been shooting 80% or higher the last few games. We can. I want that, like JJ said, that 3-point shooting to come up. But on those gimme foul shots, we got to shoot 80% or more, or we'll get killed in the playoffs. It'll come back. I keep using the word haunt, but it'll come back to haunt us.
Yeah, we were 25 for 28 in that game against the Nuggets, so that's good enough for 89.3%. So that's a solid percentage right there. And you mentioned the 3-point shooting and how poor it's been. We only shot 28.1% from 3 in that game against the Nuggets.
And as I mentioned earlier, both RJ and Randle, they're in a 5-game slump. They're shooting terrible from 3. But if you watched the stream last week, folks, we touched on everything, and Thibs mentioned it. As long as RJ is aggressive, get into the hole, and and if they converge, kick it out. But if he's aggressive, he's a different player. Don't settle for those other, floaters or turnarounds and stuff like that.
Yep, and since you mentioned it, I guess I'll put it on screen now. This is Thibs and his comments on RJ.
Not what he's doing differently. It's when he attacks the basket, he's very efficient. When he starts floating and fading away and all that, that's where the problems come. Attack the basket. Stop messing around. The more you attack the basket, the better it is. And so, if you're one-on-one, you got an angle to the basket, shoot. If you got 2 or 3 guys hanging on you, spray. And don't complicate the game. I thought he made good reads today, but I want him in an attack mode. Like it's simplicity and execution. Don't complicate this.
Gordon using that right hand, but using that body on either side to shield and get a better shot off. So yeah, I like him using being smart on those plays, using what God gave him, and that just opens up this whole game, man.
Okay, I'm hearing this. It says no sound. Can you guys hear us now?
No sound.
There's a little bit of a delay, so let's see if they start to hear us now. All right,
so good now. Okay.
All right, so yeah,
Thanks,
so like
Fabian.
I was saying, as you heard from Thibodeau, he wants RJ Barrett to remain aggressive and get to the basket. No more of that dancing around trying to do that step back. We've seen him work on it with Drew Hanlon, but right now he's not at that area where he's going to be able to get those shots off. So be aggressive, get to the paint, get to the basket, and finish. And that's something that we've been seeing him do recently in the last few games. His field goal percentage has been up in the last 2 games. And, even though he hasn't been hitting the 3-point shot, as long as he's able to get there, get to the paint, and make good decisions, we're going to live with it. You know, if the defense collapses, then you just find the open guy, like Tip says, spray it. And if you're 1-on-1 and you find yourself in an advantageous matchup, like we saw when he was able to attack Aaron Gordon, get into the paint, get the step on him and finish, in situations like that, be aggressive, get to the hoop, and good things are going to happen, especially against a guy like Aaron Gordon, who was viewed as a good defender. So to see RJ be able to beat him off the dribble was nice.
Yeah, beautiful. Like I was saying, he used his body very nicely to shield himself from his defender, either hand with the one with Gordon going to the right and going up with his right hand, but using his body. That's smart basketball. That's what we like to see.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully he can continue to develop. I know a lot of people use his age as an excuse as to why it's taking him a little bit longer to develop in the way we would like. But, you know, it is a reasonable argument to make, but it's nice to see a guy like Thibs try to point him in the right direction as to where his game needs to go right now. Yes, we would like for him to expand into that 3-point area, but for a team that's looking to be competitive and try to get as far as we can in the postseason, right now what we need you to do, we need you to be a slasher. Get to the paint, get to the basket, draw fouls, get yourself some easy looks around the basket, and if you know the defense adjusts, then you just make the right play. So hopefully he can continue to do that and you know continue to get better.
Yeah, the last couple of games, he was like 8 for 10 last game if you take away the 3-point shot. So they can't stop him getting to the hole. So don't blame him. Keep getting there, being aggressive. But like you said, or Tibbs said, they converge, spray it out, don't get that shot block, man.
Thanks. All right, so this is a tweet from Ian Begley saying that teams don't want to play the Knicks. Here goes the quote. It says, a coach from an opposing team says, a team that will not face the Knicks in the playoffs, just wanted to let that be known, on New York Knicks in the postseason, you will get beat up on both sides of the ball. You'll feel it over the course of a series. Even if you beat them, they will wear you out. And that's exactly what you want this team to be. You want us to be tough and scrappy because, yes, we have a deep team, but there's going to be teams that we're going to go up against that are going to have more elite talent than we do currently. And you have to play those guys tough. You have to be physical with them because that's what's going to help to narrow that talent deficit. And we look at a team like the Knicks, we have the depth and we have the scrappy players that we can, you know, win if we try to play that type of basketball. You look at the second unit, I-Hart, Josh Hart, Emmanuel Quickly, all scrappy guys in that second unit that are going to be able to be physical with opposing teams. And you look at the starters, Jalen Brunson, even though he's a smaller point guard, he's still someone that's physical. He lays his body out there on the line. Julius Randle, there's not much to say there. We already call him a bull in a china shop. Having to defend Julius Randle one-on-one in a 7-game series is going to be a tall task for any defender. And, you know, RJ Barrett, the same thing with him being a larger guard or wing, you know, in terms of him being 6'7" and being built. I think, you know, opposing teams look at the Knicks. They know that they're going to show up every game defensively with a sound defensive scheme. They're definitely going to want to avoid playing us. So I look forward to any playoff series that we go up against, and I think we're going to have a good opportunity to win.
Yeah, that's a telling comment, man. That you know, even if everything lines up and you happen to beat these Knicks in the playoffs, you're probably going to lose the next series because you're not going to have anything left in the tank. And it's funny, just being an old guy, that this compared to the physical teams of Mays and Oakley and the way that, you know, NBA played basketball, if this is physical basketball, boy, NBA got soft. So, but I'm glad the NBA got soft. If they're saying that we're beating the hell out of them, that's great news.
Definitely. So hopefully, you know, depends on who we match up with. Who are we matched up in right now? Let me go check the standings.
Is it Cleveland? I'm not sure.
We would be faced up against Cleveland, and that would be poetic because we already know the history between the Knicks and Donovan Mitchell. So if we were to go into Cleveland, because Cleveland would be the home team in terms of getting the most home games. So if we were to go into Cleveland, be able to pull a victory in that series, I think that would probably have a lot of egg on the Cleveland Cavaliers executives' faces. They made a win now move in trying to acquire Donovan Mitchell and got him over a team like the New York Knicks, and to still lose to them in the playoffs in the first round at that, that's going to be a bad look over there.
It's a movie script, man. You can't write a movie script from a driver perspective and like, yo, we saved all of those assets and they're only a couple of games better than us.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's in the playoffs. Let's really show them. So yeah, and those who remember last year's playoffs with Brunson, he destroyed Donovan in the playoffs. So it's not like it's a new thing for him. He faced him once before, and he'll face him again. And as my girl Geraldine just mentioned, you just hope Brunson. Well, that's why yesterday with I mentioned Deuce. Let's not have him not limping into the playoffs. Let him come in as fresh as he can on teams when we're winning up or we're playing good. Keep him out of there and keep him nice and fresh. Yo, I know Thibs called it adrenaline, but the way he opened the game yesterday, Brunson, it was like everybody was like, God, he's back. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. He's back.
Yeah, he tapered off after that. He tapered off after that first quarter, but still liked a lot of what I saw from him. He was able to knock down the three and things like that. The team as a whole hasn't been shooting great from three, but Jalen Brunson's been one of those guys that's been knocking down the three consistently. So, hopefully he can continue to knock down the three efficiently. But Foxy, I do got a question for you. How did you feel about Quentin Grimes in that first half? I believe he only played 8 minutes. I was a little bit upset about that. I felt like he could have at least played a little bit more. But with the addition of Josh Hart, how do you feel about Quentin Grimes and how there's been a reduction in his minutes?
If you don't hit the three, there's going to be a reduction in your minutes because from a dog perspective, we've seen this year that the aura of him being an elite defender, he's a really good defender. He's a very good defender, Grimes, with guys 6'5" and smaller. But guys at 6, he's getting cooked recently, and so he's come back to earth that he's a really good defender, but he's not as good a defender as IQ. And if he doesn't hit that 3-point shot, he's still a pup. He's a young guy. So the other things that we see that Hart does, the assists, the way it's very hard for Thibs not to go in that direction. And at the cost of Grimes. So Grimes, you want to play more minutes? Hit threes. Don't hit one, hit two, and then go silent for a couple of quarters. It's going to come back, and you're not going to get the minutes that you want to.
Well, the push it looks like is working because he was at least 3 for 5 in that Nuggets game, and I think he started off like a bat out of hell. I think he knocked down the three. He had a real big steal on Jokic. So I'm liking how it seems like the competition on the squad is pretty much elevating everybody at the moment. So hopefully we can continue to build upon this competitiveness and trying to see who can get the bulk of the minutes, because in order to do that, you're going to have to play well, and I think that's going to benefit the Knicks overall long term. And also, I think you got to look at what Thibs has been doing in terms of coaching, because one of the big things that we've been discussing is who's going to close a lot of these games. And normally you see Quick and Hart out there as the 2 and the 3, but to close this game, we saw RJ, and I think it was a good decision by Thibs, because if you look at the way RJ was playing against the Nuggets, he was definitely having his way out there whenever he tried to get into the paint. So I think if you look at the way that game ended, he was able to knock down a big shot, and quickly his shot really wasn't there for the game. He shot 3 of 9, 1 of 7 from the 3-point line. So you mentioned, if you're not hitting your 3-point shots, you're probably not going to be out there to close. And I know RJ's not hitting his 3-point shots, but he was pretty efficient when he got in the paint. What did you say he was, 8 of 10?
8 of 10, man.
8 of 10, and he's been better defensively as well. So to have him out there to close doesn't give you too much of a liability.
Yeah, and it's a game of confidence going into the playoffs. It's a smart move by Thibs to show him that he has confidence in him, and closing out. We signed you to this contract that'll kick in next year, and do what we expect you to do, RJ. Be assertive, be aggressive, be smart.
Yeah, I like the fact that he does a little bit of everything. Look at his stats. Hart, right? 4 or 5 from the field, 1 or 2 from the 3-point line, 4 or 4 from the charity stripe, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. So he's doing a little bit of everything. Plus minus a little bit deceiving at -5.
Yeah,
still don't get that one. Still don't get that one. But hey, it is what it is. It is what it is.
he's a game changer, and also his energy is just contagious to the other guys on the team. And you can see how intense he is on defensive assignments and talking and not taking any shit from anybody. He doesn't care if it's Julius or whomever. He's gonna let him know. No, man, or let's talk this out. Well, you got to do this there. So that is he's been a phenomenal acquisition.
Definitely a big acquisition. And, there's been some talks about who was the better, not necessarily who was the better, but, the revenge game against Cam. And you definitely saw Josh Hart is more motivated out there on the court, or at least appears that way. Cam's way too nonchalant at times. And, I love his game. I love his game and whatnot, but he's got to be more. It seemed like he's not too interested at times out there on the court. There was one pass, Lillard gave him the ball on the right, right on the right side of the 3-point line, and he just caught it and just chucked it. I'm like, bro, you had somebody right in front of you. You got to work to at least get a better shot. And those are some of the things that are a little bit upsetting about Cam. But you just hope as a fan of him that he's gonna start to figure it out. But he's gonna have to do that sooner rather than later.
Well, you're the fan of him. I'm not. And I made that known last week. But yeah, his negative on the thing. You got to admit, I'm a good friend. I never said I told you so after the game. But I was like, look at Hart's plus minus and look at Cam's plus minus. What they bring to the team. So, like I said, man, he's a serial flasher, Cam. You see him move and you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then it's just a flash. You don't see anything after that, man.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have to work on that motor. And the crazy part is any player you've had to say has to work on the motor, I think there's very few that have actually been able to do something like that. You're kind of built with it. Either you're going to give your all every minute out there on the court, or, you're going to have you're going to be a player that's going to play in spurts. And, hopefully he can prove a lot of the doubters wrong. And he's going to have to work on that coming up this off season. I don't know if the Blazers are going to end up re-signing him. Remains to be seen. I don't really know what their plans are. They're trying to see whether or not they're going to retain Chauncey Billups.
I've shared this with you and with the SV Nation from a basketball analyst standpoint from drafting. I never, ever would draft somebody with a motor issue in the first round. And it'd be difficult. You have to have some other elements for me to even think about it in the second round. And getting back to your thing, and we mentioned this, folks, the only player that we could think of that ever had somewhat of a label, maybe of a motor that turned it around was Andrew Wiggins. He didn't have the greatest reputation at Minnesota, got to Golden State, and they did their magic. And he's been, he's the player that we see today. But other than that, usually 90 some odd %, if you got a motor issue, you're never going to change. That's who you are, man. It's your DNA that either you're a dog or not. And he's not a dog, and Josh Hart is.
Well, we definitely do got a lot of dogs on this team at the moment, and we've been giving teams hell defensively, and we've been following this metric all season. So far, the Knicks are 30-3 when holding opponents under 110 points. And we're 12-27 when opponents score over 111 points. So I think in the last two victories, we did hold teams under 110. And which one was it that they scored a little bit over 110? No, they scored 110 exactly. Can't remember exactly. Let me see if I can.
Well, the Lakers 108, Clippers 106.
Well, okay, so then it was the Nuggets that scored 110 exactly. So, yeah. So we've been doing that in our wins. And then you look at some of the losses against Sacramento, we let them score 122. That ended up in a loss. And then you have Charlotte, they scored 112. We ended up losing that game as well. So if we can continue to lock teams up, especially come playoff time, I think this team is going to find itself in a position to go, at least to the second round. And that's my hope. That's what my fingers are crossed, hoping we're able to do. Of course, it's not going to be a cakewalk regardless of who we face in that first round, but I think we're positioned well. We play defense. We rebound the ball, especially offensive rebounds. And we've gotten a lot better in that department with the addition of Josh Hart. And, we've got guys that can get into the paint and finish. And I think those are areas that are all going to help you come playoff time. Yes, you got a lot of teams that shoot the three, but, the saying is live or die by the three. So if our shot's not falling, we have other avenues, like I said at the beginning of the show, to manufacture some points. And that's us getting into the paint or scoring on some second chance points. And that second unit is really starting to shine out in transition.
Shout out to Tommy Beer, man. He does some great stuff. He had some comments this week that I really love. That for the last 10 games, that he would like max out both Randle and Brunson at 32, 33 minutes. So play deuce, play Obi, do what you have to do, but have those two guys, our two most important guys, Brunson and Randle, come into the playoffs, with a little fresher, not much. You're still playing 32, 33 minutes, but wiping out those 5 extra minutes, hopefully it will have an impact on their legs coming into the playoffs. So I really thought that was a wise counsel for hopefully Thibs reads or somebody reads, like, come on. And like you said, we were just talking about dogs. We have this dog named Miles McBride, folks. Let that dog play, man. You saw what happened. He's getting his rhythm. And especially when you play defense like that, you're not compromising. His plus minus is wonderful. So, those few minutes are the difference. It can make a huge difference after 10 games.
Yeah, and that's one of the benefits of having a team as deep as we do is we can expand that rotation to a 10-man rotation and give these guys a little bit more, breathing room out there on the bench. And it kind of sucks because Deuce got benched after his most productive game in the NBA. You look at the game against Portland, he was 6 of 8 from the field, 4 of 5 from the three-point line, which is massive. If Deuce can go out there and play the type of defense we know he's capable of and be as disruptive as he can on ball, even off ball defense and defending. There was a play late in that game against Portland where he was able to deny Damian Lillard from getting the ball, and things like that completely disrupt the Portland Trailblazers offense. So he can play defense like that, and if he can knock the three ball down at 4 out of 5, that's going to be major in terms of us finding ways to get him out there on the court in certain scenarios. So with him being that productive offensively and, you wanting to give a guy like Jalen Brunson some additional rest, it just works perfectly in these last few games. We can try to make a push to try and beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, but playing Deuce more minutes I don't think hurts us in that regard. I think it'll help us in that regard in keeping Jalen Brunson fresh, especially late in games when we need him to take over. And it'll also help keep Deuce in rhythm because you don't want a guy to go out there, go 6 of 8, 3 or 4 or 5 from the three-point line, and then completely sit, for an extended period of time and kind of lose that groove. So hopefully Thibs can find a way to get him a little bit more involved.
Yeah. And you've, so eloquently have talked about not only development for the players, but development for the coach. So Thibs, if you watch that Atlanta series from a couple of years ago, rewatch it. Your guys were gassed. You have 10 games to try to learn from that, use the depth that Keith just talked about on the bench, get the other guys, it's invaluable for their development, getting these minutes in these important games. It's a win-win. So please rest those guys up. As my meeting, 33, 34 minutes is not really resting them up, but it's better than 39 minutes, 40 minutes.
Facts. Let's see what we got going on in chat. Jay Boogie says send another round for Tommy Bear. Cheers, my brother. Yep, Tommy Bear is definitely something we feature here on the channel. It definitely has some dope tweets. Make sure you guys go check him out over on Twitter.
Yeah, shout out to my friend Janine. She's wonderful. Merlot and movies and a few other things. Really talented person, but I love chopping it up. She's a good friend of mine. I see the one and only Cornerstone Kevin McLeod. Hope all is well with you and your family, my friend.
Absolute. Chris Dada says the 9-man has been working. It stays at 9. More minutes for Obi and Grimes should do it. Yep, that is another option. We could definitely try to go about it that way. But I still think if you have a guy like Deuce with the way he's been playing defense and with the way he's been shooting the rock, there's still some areas within these next 10 games where you can try to get him some play time. I know we're still in the thick of it in terms of trying to avoid the play-in, but I think if you look at the way the Knicks have played with Deuce in there, you can definitely find a few minutes here and there to give Jalen Brunson some rest, especially when he's coming back from that foot injury. You want to reduce some of the miles from now till playoff time when we really need them.
Yeah, I see our friend Parrish Duggar says you need to play Fournier, Sims, and Deuce 4 minutes mid-second quarter to keep them in rhythm. That's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea.
I don't want to see Fournier on the court of the Knicks jersey ever again. He's out of here. God bless him.
I'm with you, but when you're shooting 28% from three, there may be an element where you need an injection. Hey, I'm with you, man. I want to trade him in the worst freaking way, but if you're not hitting that three in this game, you got to do something. But 2 out of 3, maybe just deuce. Maybe 1 out of 3, one deuce. Just play deuce.
Yeah, I'd rather wing it with Deuce and say, "Hey, Deuce, man, go knock down a couple threes, please."
Yeah,
Especially
shout out
with
to
the way,
Jay
because
Boogie,
he
like
can
you
do
said.
it. We've seen him knock down the 3 in G League. So, yes, tougher competition, but an open 3 in the G League is no different from an open 3 in the NBA outside of maybe the crowd. I'll give you that. If you say maybe he's not up for the moment in terms of the amount of crowd noise and things like that, because that does play into effect. But we've seen him knock down the 3 in Portland with a hostile crowd. So I think if you have an opportunity to play him and want him to knock down some threes, he'll be able to do it.
Yeah, and the beauty of just playing guys is that they don't think about it. It becomes muscle memory, and it happens. If you don't play a lot, then you're like, if I don't hit the three, is Thibs going to take me out and all this other stuff? So that's why I was hoping, like you said, after his best game, that he got some burn. And like I said, it's unlike Fournier where you're like saying, oh my God, his defense, even with that 3-point shooting, why are you bringing him with that defense? You don't have that issue with Deuce, man. He's going to play superb defense. He's going to do what's good for the team. It's a win-win, man.
Yeah, you got to give the front office a lot of credit, because if you look at how many guys have been drafted outside of the lottery that are major contributors on this team, they definitely deserve their flowers there. You look at Grimes, you look at Quick, and you look at Deuce, who could be, giving us a lot more. We just have so many good guys ahead of him. Same thing with Jericho Sims. Jericho Sims could be giving us some solid minutes as a backup center, but we have I-Hart, who turned things around immensely from how he was playing earlier on in the season. So definitely got a lot of young guys drafted late in the draft that have turned out to be key contributors.
And it's funny, in the beginning of the season, you and I talked about that, if there's a team that we wanted to emulate, one of the teams was Memphis. And Memphis is doing a lot with guys like Keith just said, guys drafted number 30, number 28. So a lot of guys that were picked later that are invaluable role players. So I'm glad that, we're doing the same thing this year. Those players that we've selected late in the first round or early second are really playing top-notch basketball.
Yep. G. Robinson says Thibs' logic is to play the starters as much minutes as possible to prepare them for the playoffs. So I guess he was preparing them for the playoffs from day one, because he's been playing those guys as many minutes as possible from jump. It's not like he's about to change or something.
Yeah. Hi, G. Hope all is well with you and your family.
Yep. Dirty Dancer says Fournier's only value now is a future expiring. Facts. That's his value at this point. I think he's going to be included along with another piece.
Well, he doesn't have an expiring. He'll have an expiring contract after next season. The whole thing is, can we get rid of that $18 million?
It's a team option, so technically it's expiring because you just trade up to somebody, they're not going to pick up the option.
Well, next year, meaning it's not a team option next year.
Well, no, if you trade him this offseason, he'd be an expiring deal.
Well, for the team that pick him up, yeah.
He's an expiring deal for us too if we keep him.
Nope.
It's a team option.
Are you sure you look that up?
I don't think it's a player option.
No, it's not. It's just a regular option. Meaning it's part of the contract. It's not a team option nor a player option next season.
An option has to be either. Let me see. It's a club option, yeah. So it's a player option for 24-25. So if you trade him, the team he's traded to has the option to pick him up in 24-25. So it technically operates as an expiring because they.
Yeah, well, but next year is 23-24. Yeah.
Yes, but you can't trade him until the offseason. It's not like we can trade him now. If you trade him in the offseason for 23-24, you'd have that one deal left, that 1 year left on the deal.
Exactly.
And then 24-25 would be the expiring.
Okay, we're cool.
Yep. Bada bing, bada boom.
Rest your case, counselor.
It's all good. Let's see what's going on. Paris Douglas says, Keith, straight up, Fournier is as good as Barrett. Sorry, bro. I would disagree there, especially when RJ's playing defense. Because RJ's playing defense, he's giving you more value against a guy like Evan Fournier. And then also offensively, I think he can get into the paint, and he can also be a little bit more versatile than Fournier. He can score in the paint. He can also pass and things like that. So I would definitely say R.J. Barrett at this point is better than Evan Fournier, especially when he's actually committed on the defensive end.
Yeah, I don't put them on the same level personally.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Fabian Williams has battle with the Twin Towers tomorrow. John Talento agrees. He says, facts, the front office deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, Parrish is definitely having some of that good brown juice, I think. If RJ got hurt and replaced by Fournier, our odds to advance would stay the same. So stop the nonsense.
I don't know. You can't have two people that, well, I won't even say Brunson gets attacked, but for the most part, you have a guy like Fournier that teams are going to actually seek out to destroy. I mean, look at the game against the Nuggets. We went after Jamal Murray play after play, and we're able to get good looks play after play. So that's what would be what we would see if we have Evan Fournier in the lineup. Teams would just attack him, and it would open things up for them. And, you know, already with the way that we play defense, we kind of oversell on any type of penetration. So once someone penetrates on Fournier, it's open three-pointers for everybody. And then there goes the game.
Yeah, no doubt.
19 comment NYC 84 says, approach the bench counselors. That's a good one.
We have a super chat.
You salute to Jay Boogie for the $10 super chat. He says, great content as always. Y'all never going into a slump when it comes to that. Two questions. First, do we have the best backup center in the league? And two, how much are we paying Josh when he opts out? So Josh, I'll answer the second one first. Josh is probably going to get anywhere from maybe 16 to 18 million, I would assume. Because what is his option for this season?
12.9, I believe.
Yeah, so I would see a nice little $5 or $6 million jump for that would make 18, 19. So yeah, I would see right around 17, 18 mil.
Which is why we want to trade Fournier, because that's Fournier's salary, so it would work out perfect.
Exactly. And then for the first one, do we think we have the best backup center in the league? I definitely think with I-Hart. And the crazy part is we probably have the best backup center in the league, and we're not even using him the best way. We're just using him the way Thibs needs a center to play in his offense. So imagine if we were actually able to run that second unit through a guy like I-Hart. Foxy mentioned the play where Quick had a nice little pocket pass, but did you see the pass that Hart made to Hart?
No look.
That no look, beautiful. A thing of beauty.
Gorgeous.
So imagine if we were to run the offense around a guy like I-Hart with that second unit. I think you'd see even more that he's someone that could be or is the best backup center in the league. And defensively, he's definitely stepped up from the beginning of the season. The start of the season, he had a lot of issues. Not going to overlook that. We've talked about that here on the channel, some of the issues that he had. But recently, he's been a lot better at protecting the paint and protecting and defending guys that are attacking. So I think he's definitely the best backup center. What about you, Foxy? What do you think?
I think his impact, yesterday was an off game, like you said, for a few, but the impact, I've never seen a guy with 2 0-point games have more impact on the plus minus side besides rebounding and what he brought to the team. It was like really impactful, and he's getting in. I don't know if that inflamed Achilles is finally getting to a certain part, or he's just from a chemistry standpoint. He's played so many games now that, he's in the flow with the guys. But yeah, Boogie's there, man. He's been invaluable for $8 million. And also he's closing over Mitch, a lot of the things, and you can understand it. But like Keith was saying, that no-look pass, we've been saying he should have been in the pinch post for a while now, man, and especially with Josh Hart, who's a cutter, Grimes, who's a cutter, Obi, who's a cutter, bring that whole element. It changes the whole game. So thanks again, Boogie, for the generosity. We greatly appreciate it.
Yep, definitely appreciate the support. And then we have another comment from G. Robinson, says, I'm late. Did we talk about the Mitch comments? No, we haven't gotten into that as of yet. Things are pretty positive right now for the Knicks, so we didn't want to start off with the negativity. We'll be negative at the end of the show. So make sure you stay tuned for that.
So if you want negativity, you stay tuned, folks. Hey, folks, we have 109 in the chat. We have only 38 likes. Do us a solid. Please hit that like. Doesn't cost you anything. If you have subscribed, thank you so much. Please tell a friend to tell tell a friend. If you haven't subscribed, as we talk about, it's the one-stop shop for all Knicks news, rumors, and analysis. Please turn on that all reminder bell so you don't miss out on any of the wonderful content from Sports Vibe TV. If you can't catch it live, shout out to the replay gang. We love chopping it up with you. And last but not least, shout out to the best mods on the planet. We appreciate all you do.
And we touched on Josh Hart and I-Hart. So we want to put this on screen. This is from Fred Katz. As you can see, look at that net rating when those two guys are out there on the court. What is that? 29.3. So ridiculous net rating for those two. And that's that second unit, that bench bomb. You know, you add Emmanuel quickly. You add Obi when he's firing on all cylinders. And that's an extremely dangerous team. And when I look at the Knicks play, whenever that second unit comes on, for the most part, I'm expecting us to win those minutes out there on the court. And this has been a long trend. But I think the entire Tom Thibodeau tenure, for the most part, we've had so much depth on this team that at times our second unit outperforms the starting unit. And that was definitely the case last year. And at times, you know, it's not so much the case this year, especially with the way Jalen Brunson has been playing and Julius Randle was playing on earlier on in the season. But when it comes to matching up our second unit against another team's second unit, hands down, the Knicks, for the most part, have the advantage.
Yeah, and that's only 14 games. Imagine if we made a trade earlier, man. Those guys got a chance to play. But, folks, I don't know if you're old wrestling fans, but this is the new Hart Foundation, brother. We really love our Hart Foundation worldwide second team champions.
I hear you on that. Nice wrestling impressive.
Woo!
I hear you on that one. Let's see what we got going on chat. A 19 comment, NYC84 says flagrant foul, that like button. Facts.
Right.
Cormega says judo chop. Yeah, we're bringing a little bit of UFC in here. We got judo chops going on, all kinds of stuff. Salute to Anudi25. He says, what's good? East Blue Drew, salute. Thank you guys for tuning in. We really do appreciate the support. What else we got going on? Cormega says 3 for 45. I'm guessing that's what we should pay Josh Hart. And speaking of Josh Hart, just to look at what he's been doing over the last 5 games, you can see he's averaging 11.2 points per game, 9.5 rebounds per game, 5.6 assists per game, only 2 turnovers a game. So roughly, a 2-to-1 turnover, assist to turnover ratio, 1.8 steals. So pretty much a 1-to-1 turnover to steals ratio. Field goal percentage, he's shooting 56.3% from the field. Now this is key. 46.2% from the 3-point line. His 3-point shooting was a major question mark with him coming over and his hesitancy to shoot. And we've seen him be a little bit hesitant at times, but when he's shooting them, he's knocking them down. And of course, it's dropped a little bit. It was shooting like right around 60% from 3, and now it's 46.2. But let's be realistic. How long did you expect him to shoot 60-some-odd% from the 3-point line? It was going to come down eventually. So if he can stay around this low 40s, even high 30s, you'd be perfectly fine with that, especially with the things he's doing elsewhere on the court. And he's been averaging 33.2 minutes per game. So he's pretty much been playing as a starter. He's been playing starter minutes even though he's coming off the bench. And the free throw shooting. He hasn't missed a free throw yet.
Yeah, and that's 25 points right there, folks. You take his points per game and his dimes. It was 5.6. That's huge. That's huge. That changes a game when you have a guy like that and you see his IQ, his head's up, he's making the right play. And like we said, sometimes he's too unselfish, man. Take that 3, and especially if you're we don't care. He keeps him honest, and then blow by him for that going to the hole that you do so well. But God, I love the way this guy plays, man. This is everything. When you'd say to me, what kind of player do you like? If I put a recipe together, Josh Hart would be popping out, man. I love dogs.
Yeah, so I think we got a little bit of a debate going on in chat. Some people are saying that, what we would pay him might be a little bit too much. So we'll start a poll just to see what should Josh Hart be paid. And what did you say again, Foxy? What was your number?
Last year?
No, this year. If we have to extend him this offseason.
Well, it was 12-9. It was his, I think, 12-9, if my memory serves me right. The player option that he's not going to exercise.
No, but how much would you pay him?
Oh, like you were saying, Norman Powell vicinity, that's 16 to 18 million.
Okay, so we'll make
meaning if we're paying Fournier 18 million, You're trying to tell me Josh Hart ain't worth that?
True. So I'll put a poll. So I'll ask, how much should the Knicks pay Josh Hart per year? So it will be over 18, 16 to 17, and then we'll do 15 to 16 because he's going to definitely get a raise. And I don't think he's accepting anything less than 15. So I'll put that in the chat just to see what people think. I don't want to add an option. That's enough.
He's a glue guy.
Definitely.
And there's a reason why glue guys are important.
And look at the versatility, though. 11, pretty much 11 and 10 if you round up. So pretty much averaging a double-double. And on top of that, he's averaging close to 6 assists per game. And yeah, you might look at it and say, two turnovers might be a lot. You know, you might not be too thrilled about it, but he's also averaging damn near 2 steals. So that's pretty much a wash.
And if we were
right
hitting
there.
threes, that could very easily be 8 assists.
Yeah, for the most part, exactly. So he's definitely a jack of all trades, and you know, and he's at least mastered one. He's mastered the rebound, and that's something that's very key because a lot of guys that do a little bit of everything, they very rarely master one aspect. You know, you look at guys like Draymond Green. He's someone that's a jack of all trades. He can do a little bit of everything, but he's mastered defense. You look at Josh Hart. He's mastered that rebounding, and he's damn near mastered the defense as well. You know, there are some matchups where he gets cooked. You know, I won't say he's the perfect defender. You look at the Kings game. You know, De'Aaron Fox was cooking him in the clutch, but outside of that, he's still a solid option as somebody that you're gonna have, man up against the other team's best perimeter ball handler.
Yeah, and what we love is that it's not only the rebounding, it's the tough rebounds, the important rebounds in crunch time. That earlier in the season, like, oh God, no, a third chance. Come on, will somebody get a damn rebound? With I-Hart here, he's grabbing those important rebounds and with those hands and stuff. So, and he hit a couple of really clutch free throws. So yeah, man, that's our type of guy. Villanova strong.
Also, remember that loss against the Mavs where Luka was able to do that nonsense at the free throw line, secure the rebound, and help extend that game or whatever the case may be. If we had a guy like Josh Hart in there, that play doesn't happen. I don't think. I think Josh Hart's able to secure that rebound.
That, and if Thibs subbed out Sims, brought him in and did a couple other things to match the subs that Dallas did at that moment.
But even then, the ball came back to the guy shooting the free throw.
Right.
It's not even like somebody that was lined up got it. So if you had somebody if you had Josh Hart in there, Josh Hart is probably standing where, who was it? Quentin Grimes is standing, if I remember that play correctly. So if you had Josh Hart there at that moment, he's securing that rebound. He's not pussyfooting and whatever the case may be, letting the ball bobble and get back to Luka. So,
And his IQ is so off the thing that we've talked about those baseball outfielder instincts of his. Even if he couldn't, he would hit the ball to make sure Luka didn't get that ball.
Yeah, he would have definitely done something to mess it up.
Well, he would have done something.
But think about it. The ball was in Quentin Grimes' hands. I don't understand.
I know. Well, was it Deuce? Somebody that tapped it out of his hand in that play?
I believe so. Was it?
Yeah.
I can't recall who the other Nick was, but somebody
I'm
definitely.
old, so I need you people. This old brain, and I'm hanging out with Big Chino too much. Too much of a stoner.
Getting too lit. I hear you on that one. So looking in the chat, we've got a few. Seems a little bit split. We've got some people saying 17 million is good. John Talento says 17. Dirty Dancer says average annual value of 17. Big Chino 17 to 18 sounds just about right. East Blue Drew says he's giving us more than Evan, so pay him. But you got to remember, Evan Fournier was signed to come over here and be a starter. So it's a little bit different in terms of the pay scale. So I'd be okay with 18, seeing that Josh Hart is giving us so much, and especially with the way the cap is going to be increasing year over year. But I wouldn't start at 18. I'd start at around that 16 mil range, see if he likes being in New York enough to take something that might be a little bit on that low end. But, if he pushes it up to 17, 18, I'd be open to that as well.
Heard.
Cormega says 15 to 16. Dirty Dancer says Quick should get around 21 to 22. Me personally, if we pay Quick that much, I'm going to have to push for him to be a starter if you're going to be making that type of money.
Yeah, and I have no problem being a starter at the two. Brunson, IQ, RJ, Randle, Mitch, and or I-Hart.
Yeah, they play very well together, Brunson and Quick. So to have those two as a
They do.
two man combo definitely works. So then the only thing you'd have to do then in the offseason is see if you can get a little bit more offensive firepower to come off the bench. And could
Shout
they
out
do
to
that in the
DeCoolison.
draft? Maybe, but I don't know if there's anybody that can really fill that role come draft time. But Foxy will have you deep dive and see if you can find someone
Let's find someone for what?
that'll be able to replace Emmanuel Quickly's offensive firepower if we elevate him to the starting lineup.
Just offensive firepower? Power?
And would be a player that Thibs would actually give minutes to.
Oh, because I was going to say there's a kid, DeQuavian Smith, out of North Carolina State. That's a microwave, but on one side he doesn't play much defense.
Another
But
Fournier type.
he could light it up, man.
And JJ says it was Deuce who knocked it out, I think. So yeah, it looks like it was Deuce that kind of
Thanks,
came in there.
JJ, for and I just said before, DeCoolis, hope all is well. Also, a quick shout out to Dritmore. So you stopped by a little while ago, and we have a super chat.
From Paris Lookers. Yes, Brunson's got a 3rd-year opt-out. They better pay Josh. Yeah, he can opt out after the 3rd year. And that's why I've been mentioning, because him and Julius Randle have similar contracts. They're about 3 years on the deal, and in the 4th year is a player option. So the both of them can opt out in the same year. So that's why I'm looking at it and saying, these next 2 years, not including this one, the next 2 years are going to be very important for this team, because I think it's going to push us more towards a win now mode, because we're going to have to try and bring guys in while Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle are underpaid in order to be, legitimate championship contenders. Because after those, 2 years, they're going to be able to opt out, and they're going to be warranting, max type money, especially with the way Jalen Brunson has been playing. And Julius Randle, he's been all NBA for the most part this season. So he could probably go out there and demand max money as well. So it'll be very difficult for us to retain both and to bring in enough talent around those two. So we're going to have to make moves this offseason and the following offseason to try to win in that window. And also you got to look at, Tom Thibodeau and his age. Even if he coaches
65.
well, who knows how long he's going to want to be in that driver's seat. So we really have to look at this roster, look at the way our stars are set up in terms of their contract structure, and start making some moves to see if we can start making a playoff, a championship push next year and the year after.
Yeah, I think Big Chino made an excellent observation when we were talking about IQ. You said you hurt your bench scoring, though, and there's already 3 ball dominant guys in that lineup. So that's a very good point, Big Chino. Shout out to you, man.
That's true, but I've also seen those guys work well together in terms of Brunson, Quick, not so much RJ, because usually when Quick is in the game, sometimes you'll see RJ on the bench, and then he'll be out there with Brunson and Randle. So I see your point. Definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
But then that brings another question. Will Quick decide to re-sign if he's not going to be given an opportunity to start? Will he be okay with that? I think he might be okay with it. You look at his favorite players, Lou Williams. Lou Williams, yeah, he started some games, but for the most part, he was a super sub. So if that's Quick's favorite player, maybe, he'll be okay with staying in that role.
If we play, I think we're a very dangerous team. And if we get the right matchups and the Lord and the basketball gods are looking down upon us and we do some damage in these playoffs, and with the future that we have and the assets and stuff, and, D Rose's contract, that's $14 million coming off the books. And if we have to attach a draft asset to get rid of the $18 million for Fournier, I don't know if IQ would, there's no play when you're playing for the Knicks at Madison Square Garden and they're winning. Would I rather start for Charlotte, or would I rather play for Knicks on a second team? I'll take the Knicks, meaning a second market team rather than a giant market team like the Knicks. So I think we could lock him up. I think he likes it here. He likes the camaraderie, and a lot of it is if he's getting the minutes, then I think he's going to be happening. I don't think he's going to get into the starting as much as long as he's getting the burn. And who closes?
Yep. And Paris Duggar also agrees with that point. He says starting doesn't matter. They're not little league children.
Just
I
said that. Thank you.
I hear you on that one, but I think starting definitely does matter for certain players if they want to reach
For certain players, you're right.
their full
Julius would be
potential.
one.
So, and for some players it doesn't matter, but there are a segment of players out there that really would like to start or prefer to start and be given the keys to the Porsche. But thank you for that comment, Paris. Do appreciate it. Also, I saw another one I wanted to mention. Uh, 19 comment NYC says that Jungle Boys pack. Foxy, I see you.
Yo, don't let the secret get out, man.
I hear you. Dwayne Dennis says 1 to 2 players plus the Wizards plus Mavericks first round draft picks will have to be sacrificed this offseason to upgrade the team with a 3-and-D wing, besides not bringing back Rose and Fournier. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we'll do to get rid of Fournier, see if we can get actually a player that can contribute, because you're going to expect them to consolidate the roster. Thibs is adamant about running with this 9-man rotation. So, you still want to have your depth, but that leaves about 2 to 3 guys on this team that are quality players that just won't factor in to see some major play time. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see some consolidation where we take a guy like Fournier, take another young player or two, put them together and try to bring in another big piece to help jumpstart this championship push.
Yeah. And folks, we're going to be we're a very deep team. So we get rid of D Rose, get rid of Fournier, and we're able to bring in the wing that we're looking for. And even if it costs us Obi and we get a couple of other players, it's really a bright future.
Yep. And I closed the poll to see what people think we should pay Josh Hart when he hits free agency. 16 to 17 mil wins with 58% of the vote. 18 plus comes in at a close second with 31% of the vote, and then 15 to 16 is down at 9% of the vote. So thank you all for participating in the poll. Really do appreciate it. And right now we've got 119 in chat, but we've only got 58 likes. Do us a solid, smash that like button. We really like to hit that 100 like metric in stream. So just try to help us get to that milestone. We really do appreciate it. It'll help promote the stream. So thank you guys for those who have liked already. And if you haven't done so, now would be a great time to do so.
Thanks again, everyone. We appreciate your support.
Yep, and Dirty Dancer agrees with you, Foxy. He thinks that they may trade Toppin and the Dallas pick to upgrade because, Toppin, has been an enigma for the most part. We've all thought that he's someone that would be able to succeed in a larger role. But unfortunately, you've got Julius Randle, who has completely, changed his production level. He's ratcheted it up over the last 2-3 years. And unfortunately, it really doesn't give us much space or leeway to give Obi an opportunity to see what he can do. So he's probably one of our biggest trade chips, even though it seems like they've been devaluing him by not putting him out there on the court. And he's probably someone that's going to be moved. Evan Fournier, you mentioned. Maybe even, RJ, if the deal's big enough. You might see RJ dangled in a deal if it's going to bring in a guy that's next level and can really help push us towards championship contention. And in all honesty, we were going to present a trade featuring RJ and Mitch to bring in a marquee player. But we wanted to keep the positive vibes because players have been turning up. So we'll talk about that the next time they stumble.
Yep. And also Dirty Dancer, folks, I'll touch on some thoughts later in the draft, but at 7:30 tonight, it's not the March Madness tournament, it's the NIT tournament. Those who followed me for several years with my draft, I'm proud of my track record. Last year I made a comment about there's a kid on Arizona, Ben Matherin, I really think that we should go after. Folks, the kid I want us to go after this year that I think could solve a lot of future problems for us is playing at 7:30 tonight. Taylor Hendricks out of UCF. He had a monster game. And if you watched it, his footwork, he can cover threes. I said to Keys, I said to JD and a couple of George and a few of my pals that he's Jeremy Grant. He's 6'9", he's Jeremy Grant, a shot blocking Jeremy Grant. That's 10 years. Jeremy Grant's 29. This kid's 19. I love this kid, Taylor Hendricks, man. I would go full steam ahead for us to try to get him.
And we do have the assets to move up if we wanted to. I know a lot of people are saying the drafts after this aren't going to be as deep. So if we have to package some additional picks to get a guy like Hendricks in the front office. Thinks he's someone that can really, help us, especially for a guy like Tom Thibodeau, who's going to want to bring in somebody that defense is up there first and foremost. Then maybe that's the move to make. And even if you bring in a guy like Hendricks, maybe it'll give you a little bit more leeway to move some of the other guys.
Yeah. Hey, quick shout out. I see my friend Anthony R is in the chat. Hey, guys, listening in the car, agree that the future seems much brighter later. My friend Anthony and his wife, Danette, they do a wonderful show, and they're wonderful. They did this great show a couple of weeks ago in City Island because of the opening of a restaurant called Johnny's Reef, a famous seafood place open for the year. And there's a famous, a well-known antique shop there. They're so wonderful. They saw some antique NBA cards that had never been opened, and got me a Patrick Ewing card. I got a Tim Hardaway rookie card. I got a Pat Riley, coach of the Lakers card, Akeem Olajuwon. So shout out to Danette and Anthony for being so wonderful, and I really appreciate your generosity. I love you guys.
Salute to them. You better make sure you laminate those bad boys and save them.
You're not kidding, man. They had a great show today, man. They were in Arthur Avenue, Little Italy, so they were eating some fantastic pasta and some baked clams and some great pizza and some wonderful pastry. So it was a wonderful show. Dan and Anthony, I love you guys.
Yep. Shout out to Big Chino. He says Randle has to prove it in the playoffs. His IQ is abysmal. That's true. But I think with the addition of Jalen Brunson, it kind of alleviates some of the pressure off of Randle, especially those late game decisions. I mean, we saw without Brunson, teams were able to pretty much attack him the same way we saw in that Hawks series, and they were able to do that with some success. But now you bring in a guy like Jalen Brunson who can kind of be, that safety net or that safety valve for us come clutch moments, because we know he can get any shot he wants out there, and he can force defenses to react, and he's a much better decision maker than a guy like Julius Randle. I think what we've all been saying since we've had Julius Randle here on the Knicks is that he needed a point guard to kind of take the ball out of his hands in those moments, and that would then make Julius Randle a better player. And I think we've seen that. It's exactly what's happened this season. Julius Randle has elevated his play, and he's playing at times better than we saw 2 years ago when he won Most Improved. So with the addition of a guy like Jalen Brunson, I think we will see a better version of Julius Randle come playoff time. Now, the big question is, are we going to see a more improved version of Tom Thibodeau? Because that's the other part of the equation. And for the most part, you got to give Thibs credit. He made some adjustments midway through the season. He's been doing a lot of the things that us fans have been clamoring for, relying on some of the young guys a little bit more, managing the minutes, at least the rotations, especially come late game, a little bit better, and not be so rigid in your substitution patterns. And we've seen that, there's games where you'll see Hart and Quick out there closing, and there's also moments where you'll see Hart and RJ out there closing. So, moving with the game and kind of understanding what's happening and who has it and who doesn't is going to be very key to our performance come playoff time. And that's going to be on Thibs. But so far, he's been doing a solid job. Just to put this on screen, and this is from Knicks News in Thibs' third season as Knicks head coach. He's got a 120-106 record, 2 winning seasons, 1 Coach of the Year award, and he's brought much-needed stability to the franchise. So you definitely have to give Thibs his kudos for that. Give him a little bit of love. So, Fox, anything you want to say about Thibs and how he's been coaching so far this season?
Well, going into the playoffs, I've seen changes with him, and the thing that I'm happy for him versus a couple of years ago is extension of a coach on the floor. He has both, Brunson and Josh Hart there now. It's not Elfrid Payton or a hobbled D Rose going into the playoffs, and a Bullock and other things. He has 2 really high IQ players that can execute on the strategy that he's putting out there. And also, they're tough enough to look off Randle. The most important thing in the playoffs is putting Randle in an optimal role, but not giving him the ball in an area that you're like, no good could come out of this. I'm sorry, I'm licking you off, Julius. That would help Julius, and because that he'll go into a deeper funk if he does that spin and they steal the ball. So just don't give it to him if he's not in his spot. So I really think that Thibs is in a better place because of the players that this front office delivered for him to be able to execute his strategy better.
Yep. Also, I'm seeing Buzzer Beaters asking there's something wrong with the sound. Is everything okay? Or is it just me sounding congested? Hopefully it's just me sounding congested. And I do apologize for that. Also,
Hi, Buzzer Beater.
we've got Anthony R saying getting Jalen was a genius move. Yep, definitely a big win by this front office. I was on the fence initially, but after I saw the contract, I was for it, and I wasn't even expecting him to ball out the way he's had. So definitely shout outs to Jalen. He needs some applause as well. Give him some of that.
And the impact. Where's that roadcaster when you need it? But also, I said a few times in the last several weeks, did you see that play by IQ? He has been watching Brunson's footwork. So he's having an indirect impact on this team in areas, whether deuce and IQ, footwork, man. You got to love his footwork.
Yeah, all of the guys have stolen his gather. I said it on numerous occasions. RJ has taken that gather. Julius Randle, for the most part, has taken that gather. And you've seen it. You've seen it throughout the team. He's definitely been someone that they can reach out to and get a little bit more information from in terms of playing and things like that.
Yeah. Buzzer Beater says, it's me, not you. You sound like George Costanza. That's a Seinfeld reference, folks.
I'm not a big Seinfeld guy. I'm more of a Friends guy. You can hit me with a Friends reference, I might get it more than Seinfeld.
Yeah, I'm not a Friends person, but Seinfeld is like a religion.
I hear you on that one. I'll get into it. I'll start watching it. Where can I stream it?
You're asking the wrong dude.
I'll figure it out. All right. So everybody says the sound is good. All right. Thank you. Dirty Dancer says Brunson is teaching RJ and IQ those finishing moves. Facts. We surveyed 100 people. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you tuning in. He says, and I-Hart turning out to be a solid off-season pickup. Facts. You look at what the front office has done. They've hit on a lot of the smaller moves. They haven't made any big moves, which for us to judge them. And the one big move they were going to make, we're I think pretty thrilled that they didn't go ahead and do it. But if you look at some of these other moves that they've made in trying to build this roster, you can definitely say, well, I guess you can say Brunson was a major move. I guess initially it was viewed more as a smaller move, but it turns out to be the biggest move they've made since they've been here.
And the steal of the century.
Yeah, facts. I know Jalen Brunson and his family must be thrilled because what were they offered by the Mavs and were considering? What was it, 55 mil?
Yeah, they were constrained because of the contracts at that time with Spencer Dinwiddie, the contracts with Porzingis, and the contracts with Luka. So that worked out to our favor.
It worked out to Jalen Brunson's favor too, because he got a much bigger contract, almost twice as much, right?
I don't know about that, but I think he got probably around 13, 14 million more than he could have with the.
Well, no, because the initial contract they offered him was like 455, right?
You're right. You're 100% right. Yeah.
Yeah. So him.
But that was way before he played in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, but think about it. If he would have taken that deal, but he bet on himself. Did a little bit, similar to what Aaron Judge did, except Aaron Judge re-upped with the same team and Brunson got out of there. Yeah. But think about it. Just think about not only what he's able to make in terms of what he signed for, but also the opportunity that's presented to you when you're a star player for the Knicks. You listen to what Julius Randle was talking about after he had his All-NBA season and he was getting into fashion and all kinds of stuff.
Cadillac commercials and sitting on hoods. Yeah, so I'm expecting that to come.
Commercials or whatever the case may be. So it's definitely looking up for Brunson. And hopefully, once he sees some of the success that comes with winning in New York, he gets, it's like a drug to him and he wants to be better and even more better. So
yeah. And he's a class act, man. He's easy to love. Hey, John Talento said you could check it out on Netflix, Seinfeld. And my guy, Buzzer Beater, says Serenity Now. So he gets me. That's a famous term for Seinfeld. Sure, you happen to Buzzer Beater.
Yep. All right, let's see what else we got to say about Thibs. This is from Fred Katz again. It says, the Knicks have clinched an over 500 record for the second time in 3 years under Tom Thibodeau. Before Thibodeau took over, the Knicks were 500 only 3 times in the previous 19 years. So Thibs is also achieving a lot of milestones here. And if you ask me, he's in the consideration for Coach of the Year this season as well. I think he should definitely receive some votes. He might not win it because, there are some other coaches that have been doing some spectacular things out here in the league. You look at the Kings. They've been playing well. They actually beat us when we went up against them, even though Brunson wasn't there for the entirety of that game, but still kudos to them. So, there are going to be some other head coaching candidates that could factor in for coach of the year, but Thibs, he definitely deserves some votes.
No doubt. And shout out to Fred Katz. Sometimes you lose perspective. And before Thibs took over, the Knicks were only a 500 team 3 times in the previous 19 years. That's the pain. That's why all of us have this, Knicks syndrome that we're waiting for the shoe to fall all the time and stuff like that. So, yeah, he's done a great job, and he's gone through a couple of, whether Brunson or Mitch or a couple of key, RJ with his finger injury and stuff like that. So he's juggled, and the team is absolutely overachieved.
Well, you said they overachieved, Foxy. I said they were going to win 46 games.
Yo, there he goes. That's mean.
Whoa, hey, I had to get you back for Cam.
I was about to say, I knew I should have said that Cam stuff. He was waiting all show for that one. He was lighting me up. You're cool.
Don't let me laugh, Foxy. Gonna ruin the stream. Oh, man. But yeah, once again, Thibs has been coaching his ass off in the last few games. I'm liking, some of the changes he's made in terms of his philosophy. The players he's ended up closing with and the decisions he's been making in game have all been solid recently. We just have to see if he'll be able to carry this over come playoff time. I think that's the most important part for me. That'll allow me to be able to see if we have the right guy in Tom Thibodeau as coach, and if we have the right guy in Julius Randle as, being Brunson's, Robin, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. And I'm a sentimental because of my age and stuff. He's been accused, the mid-game adjustments, a 25-36 career playoff record. I'd love Thibs to have the basketball gods give him a favorable thing this year and have him, quell some of the past references about his performance as a coach in the playoffs, man. No, people know he's married to basketball. He loves basketball, and you could see the players, man. The young guys and stuff, they look at him like he's a grandfather, an uncle, a father figure. They really like him. So he's doing stuff right.
Definitely.
Hey, shout out to Warren Franklin, Charlie Ward's cousin. Hope all is well.
Yep.
So your cousin is sitting at the Knicks game the other night, Warren.
Yeah. You got to be with him next time.
Yeah, for sure.
Might get a little screen time. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you.
Good people, man, Warren.
Facts. The minute I saw Charlie Ward on screen, I just thought CWC. First thing popped into my mind.
Yeah, man.
All right, so talking about Thibs and what he's got this team doing so far, of course, we follow the teams and their ranking stream to stream just to see how we're progressing. You can see we've broken it down again. We're tracking from 12-4-22 to present day, and the reason we're tracking 12-4-22 is because that's when Thibs cut the rotation down to 9 players. So since he's done that, we've been 14th in the league in points per game, second in the league in rebounds per game, still 30th in assists per game. We got to get that up, but that's something we'll be working on, hopefully. Field goal percentage, we're 19th in the league, shooting 47% from the field. The three-point shooting, 16th. So I know you guys have been saying the three-point shooting is an area of concern, but for the most part, we're middle of the pack in terms of our three-point percentage. And then free throw shooting, that's been rough since we cut the rotation down. Actually, not even since we've cut the rotation down, for the entirety of the season, because you can see over on the far right, those smaller numbers is how we've been doing tracking for the entire season. So we've still been pretty bad in our free throw shooting, 24th since 12-4-22, but 25th since the season started. So, Foxy, any stat here jumps out to you? I know you're going to point to the free throw. I already know that.
Free throw, but we shot better the last few games. But what we've been saying is we haven't been shooting the 3 points, especially RJ and Randle. So please, like I said, it's all cycles. So hopefully they'll get that ugliness out and they're up on the up cycle of their shooting. And the assists, obviously, you hate being last in the league in assists. And but Jalen going ISO, RJ going ISO, and Randle going ISO. But it's so weird. It's an anomaly that if we go from this team ranking in a second, we'll go to the next one. The 4 factors that Thibs goes by, it's a lot more favorable to it shows why we're playing at a level we are more than I think actually the traditional stats show.
So
We also have a super chat.
Yeah, before we dive into it, Soul Train 68 says, let's talk Sadiq Bey, Bojan Bogdanovic free agent money, as into how much money they'll be getting in free agency. I believe so. Bojan, he's making what right now? Like right around 20?
Is Bojan on Detroit?
The Pistons, yeah.
Yeah, all right. I always get him mixed up with the guy because he just got extended.
Yeah,
with,
his brother got extended, right? With the Hawks.
Yeah. So, but hey, Keith and I went over this a few weeks ago, actually, from 538 Raptor. Shout out to them. One of the reasons the Knicks didn't go after Sadiq Bey, he's one of the worst defenders in the league. So,
which is crazy because he profiles as a good defender in terms of
but he's slow. Like he's more of a 3 guy, but he's slow on the perimeter. He's heavy legged. So when we looked at the numbers, it's like that's why he went for 5 second-round picks and why the Knicks didn't go for him, because it's all about perimeter defense. And I could just see the Knicks fans, looking at those numbers. Forget the numbers, just watching him be slow, getting out on closeouts and stuff like that. There's a reason why he's not here. So, but thank you so much, So Train, for the super chat. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, Dirty Dancer says Bogdan already got paid. That's the brother in Atlanta. They always confuse me, Bojan and Bogdan.
Yeah.
Bogdanovic. That's interesting. All right, so let's jump back into the Knicks talk. Look at another ranking that Foxy was hinting to. These are some of the analytics. So offensive rating, we're second in the league, and we've been second in the league even before we, contracted the rotation. Defensive rating, we're 12th in the league. We've been 12th in the league for the even when you look at how we started to begin the season. Net rating, 4th. Offensive effective field goal, we're 16th. Defensive effective field goal, we're 3rd. And pace, we're 30th. So, based on the analytics, there's not much of a change in terms of how we played before we contracted the rotation and how we've been playing since. So, I think that's just based on Thibs and his scheme and what he's looking for and how they're working the numbers.
I'm with you. But Thibs loves this ranking more than the traditional ones on the offensive effective field goal percentage and on the defensive and just the net rating and everything. That's why we're dangerous.
Fact. So if we can continue to perform the way we've been performing lately, we're gonna be in every game. And you look at that first round matchup against the Cavs, I think we match up very well. You look at Donovan Mitchell, he was hounded by Quentin Grimes, and Quentin Grimes earned Donovan Mitchell's respect, because after that game he went there and gave him his kudos. So if we have to go up against those guys in a 7-game series, I got a lot of confidence we can come out with a W.
Yeah, and that's where the $60 million we paid for Mitch is going to show whether we made a right choice. It's going up against Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. He's going to have to be at the top of his game.
Yeah, he's going to have to contend against those 3-pointers.
Yeah.
We have Soul Train. I believe it's Soul Train saying that we should go after Jeremy Grant. Yeah, Soul Train 68 says all in on Jeremy Grant. He's a free agent, but I don't think we'll have the cap space.
I think he makes like $22 million. Soul Train. I'm not sure if you could look that up mid-show. It's difficult, but yeah, I love Jeremy Grant. I loved him when he came out of Syracuse. And earlier I brought up the target that I had for our team right now is Taylor Hendricks. That's Jeremy Grant. 6'9", both 6'9", but one's 19, one's 29. So early Christmas present for the Knicks would be getting both Jeremy Grant and Taylor Hendricks. But like Keith said, I don't think we could do it with cap, especially if we get IQ and Josh signed up.
Yeah, so Jeremy Grant. I'm sorry,
pardon?
finish. You can finish what you're saying, Foxy.
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm finished. I'm cool.
Yeah, I was just going to say Jeremy Grant is making $21 million.
I thought it was in that range. Okay, thanks.
Season. And the Knicks, I believe, we're $32 million over the cap. Yeah, $32.2 million over the cap.
Yeah, which is pretty much the salary of both D Rose and Fournier if you add them up. in that range.
Yeah. And D Rose would be an expiring next year, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Correct. That one, yeah, that's a team option that we will not be picking up, and that's around $14 million.
Let me actually pull up Rose's contract because that means Rose will be gone this offseason.
Yeah, well, you're looking at JJ. What do you guys think of Okoro will be defending, RJ or Brunson? I wouldn't be surprised, JJ, they throw him at Brunson.
But did you say that again? Who said that?
JJ, our guy JJ.
Or who do you guys
Our
think
field
Okoro?
producer.
Yeah, they'll
Isaac
probably
Okoro.
match him. They'll probably match him up on Brunson and try to hide. What's his face? I don't know why his name is slipping mine.
Pardon?
Having a brain fart. What's the point guard on
Karis LeVert?
No, not LeVert. The guy that got drafted after Roger. We can't both be having a brain fart here, Foxy.
Well, I'm old, so I'm allowed.
Oh yeah, you have the excuse. All right, let me Google it up. Yeah. I got too much going on. There we go, Garland. I don't know why I forgot his name. They'll probably hide Garland.
I knew Garland. I just didn't I never think of Garland and defense in the same thing. So,
well, yeah, they're gonna try to hide him.
oh yeah.
Yeah, so they'll probably have Okoro matched up on Brunson, and maybe they'll put Garland on Grimes, seeing that Grimes doesn't really factor too much into the offense. Now, that won't stop us from going out there and try to seek and destroy, because that's what we did against the Nuggets. We still found a way to go and get after Jamal Murray on every play.
Yeah. Soul Train says the cap goes up, but Soul Train, I believe that's 25. That's not next year.
Yeah, I'm looking at yeah. I mean, the cap goes up every year, but I don't think it's going to be the big jump.
Yeah. Hey, JJ, it's funny you said Okoro because I was talking to somebody the other day and I said Cam Whitmore reminds me of Okoro. So a more athletic Isaac Okoro.
Yeah, in 24-25, they got us as being 63 mil over the cap. What's going on here?
Yo, what's that, Spock track?
Yeah. What's wrong with these people? All right, we'll dive deep and we'll turn that into a show topic next show or a show after. All right. See what else we got going on in chat. Dirty Dancer says Mitchell and Garland are too small for RJ. Facts. Should be able to have his way with them if they get matched up against each other.
Yeah, but what we were just saying, but unfortunately they have a second line of defense with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley if he gets past the point of attack.
Yeah, so they do have other ways to neutralize RJ. But the thing is, like Tom Thibodeau says, if they do collapse and you see those, guys in the paint, somebody's going to be open. You just got to find the right man and, move the ball around. And that's why the assist being so low is an issue because, you want the ball to move a little bit freer, especially in situations like that. And you should be able to find a man and get yourself a nice, easy assist.
Thanks. I see Westchester's finest. Sherwin is pulled up. Hi, Sherwin. Hope all is well with you and the family.
Salute. Thank you for tuning in. Sherwin says the cap goes up 13 mil next year.
Thank you, our friend.
Wayne Peterson says Oubre should definitely be on the Knicks' radar this offseason. I'm not a big fan of Kelly Oubre, to be honest with you. It's solid player for the most part, but I don't know. He just doesn't do it for me. I don't think he's a good fit here. What about you, Foxy?
I have the same feeling as you, my friend, that he's prototype size, that's 6'7", 6'8", long wingspan. He can hit the three, athletic, but I just don't know culture-wise if he would fit in. We're hitting on all cylinders with the great guys on culture. So, what pissed me off talking about culture? There was a play, there was a shot the other day. Did you see the shot on the sidelines with Obi? Where he was on the bench and he told the guy that the camera's shining on us right now. Did you see that?
I saw one moment where Obi was sitting there and he kind of did like a thumbs up to the camera or whatever while it was showing.
Yeah, he's just way too conscious of the camera for me, man. He's too much of a poser. I told you earlier this year he got mic'd up and he was doing that shit and he went over to in pre-games over to Jalen and said something. Jalen didn't answer him, just came a death ray look at him like, get away from me. And he moved on really quick, didn't say anything after he didn't answer him. But it's those things, man. You look at, take this game seriously. He's just too, I would not mind if Obi's not here next year.
I hear you, Foxy, but it's 2023, man. That's how the kids are nowadays. They like to be on the camera and whatnot. It is what it is. It don't rub me the wrong way much. But I hear you. You want the guys to be dialed in, especially when you're up in a competitive matchup against a team like the Nuggets.
Yeah, or not be searching out the damn camera. One thing is goofing with your buddy on the thing. But
listen, he ain't getting minutes, so he got to do something to keep himself entertained. You know what I mean?
There he goes again. Rest your case, counselor.
Buzzer Beater says, can you see Miami blowing it up and Butler coming to New York? I can see Miami blowing it up, but for Butler to come to New York, it might be a little difficult. Like we mentioned, the cap situation. So I don't even know what. Does Butler become a free agent anytime soon, or is he still under contract? Because if
I don't know, but he's got a lot of miles on those tires, and what you could our culture's good, and we have Josh Hart here as our dog now. We don't need a new dog to replace anybody.
Yeah, so Jimmy Butler, he'll become a free agent after this season, and right now he's making $37 million, right around $38 million. So I don't think we'll have the money to sign him to a comparable contract. And, it's not like we would have the option to trade. I mean, maybe they do a sign and trade, but I don't see the Heat really working with us, trading him within conference. And, at that point, I wouldn't want to give up a guy like RJ to bring in, 30. At that point, it'll be, 34?
12-year difference.
Yeah, 34-year-old Jimmy.
Yeah. Ace of Spade, Foxy's old school and proud of it.
Wayne Peterson says Oubre is a tough, hard-nosed player. I think he makes our bench elite. Yeah, he'd be a solid piece. Off
we definitely need a guy his size. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of the archetype, he definitely would have a place on this team. But I just don't know. You look at what he's been able to do in Charlotte. He's had his moments. But I think the way the second unit is set up right now, we probably need somebody that can play solid defense and probably a more consistent and better three-point shooter if we're going to throw them in and try to have them be a 3-and-D off the bench.
Exactly.
All right. Let's see what else we got going on in chat. Mike Boy says the I-Hart signing is looking better and better. It was crazy because we did mention when we made that signing, that I-Hart would be somebody that, the fans would fall in love with. We just didn't know we'd have to hate him first before we had that turnaround because he was playing poorly to start the season. You can't, not going to disregard that. But to see the turnaround, it just makes it all that sweeter because, you can see the growth in his game. He's still a young guy. You still see some development, and he's probably getting healthy. We didn't know initially that he had that issue. What was it? His Achilles? An
inflamed Achilles.
Yeah,
which is a serious injury, folks.
Yeah.
Axe explosion, everything.
Mm-hmm. So now to see him fully healthy and be able to perform at the level that we had expected initially is good to see.
Yeah. Sherwin, thank you so much. He said NBA raised its salary cap projection for the 2023-24 season from $133 million to $134 million with a luxury cap threshold of $162 million. The current cap is $122.7. Thanks, Sherwin. We really appreciate that.
Thank you for that information. Definitely do appreciate it. Warren Franklin says, leave my boy alone. I'm down with the Obi Hive.
Yeah, hey, I can't help it, man. When you're getting into guys like pause, but when you're guys like Oakley and Mace and stuff, and play the game. That's the way I play the game. So when you see some of these young guys that are like Obi and soft and stuff, it just don't feel right. Especially from the legacy guys that we've seen play on this team.
It's a different era, though, because even me, I came up on the guys from the early 2000s and whatnot, and it was definitely a different brand of basketball for sure, because you still had some of the tough guys out there, the enforcers or whatever the case may be.
Hard fouls. Mm-hmm. I love hard fouls. You got 6 fouls, make sure they're hard.
Yeah.
No, that's a flagrant. damn, this league got soft. Oh,
Yeah, the rules
man.
definitely switched up, man. They reviewing everything.
Yeah, and killing the game, the rhythm.
Well, they have tried to. It's been on both ends because they've tried to kill, not tried to, but they've killed the rhythm sometimes with the reviewing. But they've also done stuff to try to help the flow of the game, like the take foul and things like that. So they've done some good, and there's still some things that kind of upset you. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's look at how these guys have been performing. Here go the starters. Some key stats to see. You can see Jalen Brunson averaging 25.4 points per game. That 3-point percentage, 45.2%. Once again, these stats are from 12-4 to 3-19. So this is from the time that we reduced the rotation. Another thing to look at, RJ Barrett, he's up over 20 points again during this stretch. So we've got the three lefties averaging over 20. The 3-point percentage, not where we would like at 33.2. But he's starting to shoot less of the three-pointers and get into the paint more often and starting to attack more often. And we've been seeing some positive results. So definitely got to give a shout-out to RJ for that. Julius Randle, 27 points per game, 11.1 rebounds per game, averaging a crazy double-double. Once again, talked about him being All-NBA this season. Definitely something that he should be elected to. And he's been performing this season better than we saw 2 years ago when we really saw what this guy can do. So shout out to Julius Randle. He just got to keep, he's got to keep his mind right and not not allow things to throw him off his game. We've seen that happen a few times. And as long as he's able to stay within himself and not let, bad calls or anything like that throw him off, he should be fine. And then
Don't go crazy in them 3-pointers, man.
Yeah, he's got to calm down on the heat checks as well. And then you've got Mitch. He's been averaging 7.7 points per game and 9.8 points per game. Again, of course, this is factoring also the time that he's missed. He's averaging 67.8% from the field. And the free throw shooting got to get better. But he nailed 2.
I was about to say he's up from 48%.
Yeah,
Woo!
he nailed 2. So shout out to him for that.
Yo, yeah, but come on, man. Those foul shots, they're like 4. They went in, but everybody laughs when they go in because who shoots foul shots like that?
Hey, come on, Foxy. You asked him to make him, he made him. You can't complain about how
right.
he made him now.
Shout out to Alla Wise. Shout out to Danny Landis. I saw him earlier. Gregory Weiner. Hope all is well. Hector Gaston.
Yep, salute. Thank you. We got 87 likes. We're this close to that 100 like threshold. Do us a solid. Smash that like button and let's see if we can get there before we end the stream. We're almost wrapping up. Let's see. Let's check out the bench mob now. See how they've been doing.
Oh, I love these guys.
Yep, you can see Quick averaging 15.4 points per game. Now, of course, some of those games he was a starter, and he played well in replacement of Jalen Brunson. You see the 4 rebounds, 3.3 assists per game. So he's able to do a lot out there while he's on the court, shooting 45.8% from the field. Again, he wanted to get over that 40% threshold, and he's been doing that ever since the rotation has been trimmed. And even the 3-point percentage at 37.4% from 3. That's a decent enough 3-point percentage, just above league average. It's not what we expected when we drafted him. We expected it to be a little bit closer to that 39%, 40% area. But compared to where he's been shooting, recently, you'll live with the 37.4%, especially with the increased field goal percentage.
Exactly. Exactly.
You look at Josh Hart, 7.1 rebounds per game, 3.9 assists per game, 58.7% from the field, 55.9% from the 3-point line. I-Hart, he's been a beast on the board when he's been in, 6.6 rebounds per game and shooting 50% from the field. Now, of course, the 3-point shooting isn't where we would have liked, especially when we brought him in as a potential stretch big. But, he's been able to produce in other areas of the court. The free throw shooting, you'd like to see him get a little bit higher as well, shooting only 68.6% from the charity stripe. And then Obi, Shots been extremely inconsistent, shooting 40.4% from the field, or 29.3% from the 3-point line, and 72.7% from the charity stripe. But hopefully, with the introduction of Josh Hart and us trying to, make more plays in transition, it'll lead to more easy opportunities for Obi and help him during this home stretch of the season.
Yeah, he never gets to the foul line, man. He never gets to the foul line, that guy.
For someone that should be rolling left, right, and center, you'd think they'd have more action with him attacking the basket as opposed to him standing in the corner shooting threes. That's not his game.
Yeah.
And all we're doing is further devaluing him. Because look at what we just mentioned Sadiq Bey earlier. He got, 5 seconds? What could we honestly expect from Obi with the way we've been utilizing him?
Smiles at the camera. I don't know. I don't know if they'd get him 5. That's why I'm thinking Obi and our Dallas pick to move up to get Taylor Hendricks.
Yeah, maybe something that we can definitely explore. Maybe in the next stream we'll have a better understanding of where those picks may end up. You look at the Wizards; they're pretty close to play-in contention, so that'll probably help us. Get their pick if they're able to win in the play-in scenario and actually make the playoffs. I think their pick goes to us. You look at the Mavs; they're in a pretty tight race in the West Coast. On the Western Conference. So if they're able to get into the playoffs, that'll be better for us as well because then we'll be getting their pick. So we'll probably look at some scenarios, especially as we've got March Madness going on and we're getting a better look at some of these prospects.
Absolutely. Nikki B from Harlem says, what do the colors mean? So green means they're doing well, and usually, on shooting, it's above league average. And if it's red, it means below. So the shooting standard or the gold standard, Nikki, is 50, 40, 90. 50 from the floor, 40 from 3, 90 from the foul line. And you can see how miserably Obi on this for this example. So that's why it's red. So if they're not doing well or below league average, you're going to be seeing red.
Yep. So to simplify, green's good, red's bad.
Exactly.
All right. But thank you for that question. I really do appreciate it. Let's see what else we got going on in chat. Dirty Dancer says, Obi just doesn't play well when he isn't guaranteed 20 minutes a game. Yes, it's hard to get into a flow.
Rhythm.
When you're playing as little minutes as he is. He's playing anywhere from 12 to 14 minutes per game, and it's really hard to find your shot and to find your flow within the offense. That's why hopefully with the addition of Josh Hart, we'll see more transition opportunities, and that's one area that Obi excels in. But one thing though, in transition a couple times, he's had some stupid turnovers. I'm like, come on, bro, that's your area to shine. You can't be messing it up in that situation.
And don't get fancy, man. So he's thinking, I think, about doing a windmill dunk yesterday instead of just getting the damn ball and getting the ball in the hoop.
Facts. Look,
Foxy, and like you said, it's not the first time.
Foxy, we've made it. We've got people from other teams pulling up. We're not even talking about the Lakers to give the Lakers a shout out.
What do you mean?
Lakers and One Nation. Talk about Lakers, baby. Listen, I got no beef with the Lakers. I'm a big Kobe fan. That's my favorite player ever. So we'll let you rock, bro.
Yeah. Oh, I got issues with Lakers, man. I can't stand LeBron. Did you see him stand there all duded up with his sunglasses on? Yeah, bro. I know you're a star. Take the fucking glasses off. It's like I love Jalen Brunson. You see him on the bench and stuff like that. Yeah, you're a star, LeBron. We all know it. You wear those stupid sunglasses.
Listen, you're preaching to the choir. I'm not a big fan of LeBron either.
No, he's a god on the court, but an asshole off it in my book.
I hear you on that one, Foxy. Dirty Dancer says, just take out Dallas in the play-in and we good, Lakers. Yeah, facts. Do us a solid. All right.
Thanks.
The slides we got going on here. Oh, now we've gotten to the point where we're going to talk about some of the things that Mitchell Robinson had said. Now, Mitch, missed an extended period of time with the hand injury, and we saw I-Hart be utilized a lot more. Even though we started Jericho Sims, but for the most part, we played I-Hart pretty much the bulk of the minutes at center, and he got into a nice little groove. And at times, we've seen him now usurp Mitchell Robinson as the closer. So I think some of that might have factored into some of the comments that Mitch had said. But here goes the report. This is by Peter Boat. It says Knicks Mitchell Robinson appears to be unhappy with role again. In a couple of since deleted Snapchat stories following Tuesday's win in Portland, the 7-foot center indicated that he'd like to be more involved in the Knicks offense. And, I can understand for the most part, they really don't feature Mitchell Robinson much in terms of on offense, but real terrible timing. Like, bro, you got to read the room. This team has been excelling this season. So when you come out and you say certain things like that, it makes it look like you're just a me guy. And I would understand it even a little bit more if he said it when he was coming up on a contract, and then you start to bring in the fact that he has a child coming and things like that, and he wants to provide for his child, and if he's given a larger opportunity to showcase what he can do, then he can demand a larger contract. But you've gotten the contract, you've got a pretty sizable contract, and yet you're still finding issues with the way you're being utilized. And I think if you look around the NBA, for the most part, bigs like Mitchell Robinson, they don't get featured in offense, period. Look at Steven Adams when he's out there. He's not really featured in the offense much. Clint Capella, they're not giving him the ball to back down and operate in the paint like that. Most of his looks are off of lobs and putbacks. So it's not like I don't think Mitch is being treated unfairly. Yes, as a fan base, we would like to see Mitch be given a larger opportunity on offense to showcase what he can do, but I mean, he hasn't really taken any initiative out there on the court to really show what he can do. And when he does get the ball, try to make a move. He does once or twice, but for the most part, we really don't see him, take the initiative out there on the court. So, Foxy, how did you feel when you saw some of the things that Mitch had to say?
Delusional. He's here for He's here for 5 years. He wants to unleash his post moves. Oh, that's right, he doesn't have any. He wants to do that jump hook. Oh, that's right, he doesn't have one. He wants to hit that midi on a pick and pop. Oh, right, he does that. He's shooting 48%. Oh no, he's up to 50% from the foul line. What the hell are you talking about? Like you said, you get your lobs, get your putbacks. You're a great elite offensive rebounder, but you're here for defense, and it's on you that you're in your 5th year and your offensive game is this, rudimentary. It's crazy. So shut the hell up, man. Like you said, timing's everything. Everything's going good. We're getting into 10 games from the playoffs. Everyone's like looking at each other with that look on his face, and this schmuck says shit like this.
Yeah, definitely bad timing from Mitchell Robinson, but you got to give him his kudos because he did turn around and apologize. He had this to say on Knicks Fans TV's Instagram post. He says, it's coming. It's come real as fuck for the past few. Damn, I can't even see. I'm halfway blind out here. It's come real ASF for the past few weeks. I've been going through the perfect storm, as I called it, after the game against Portland. I just snapped. Like, I got a baby on the way. I got family issues. I just got to figure a way to get back under control. When my mind was free, I was good. After I had 3 bad games, I just started thinking about all the stuff I had going on and kept it going. I'll figure it out, though. I'll be fine. My bad. Should have handled it differently and didn't want no bad blood. Just got to find myself. And you can understand, he might have some things going on in his personal life that made him lash out. But I just don't think that was the area to lash out at. I mean, when he's been given the ball, he's been able to dunk it. And, when he's open for the most part, guys find him. But, I mean, you haven't showcased anything to warrant them actually running plays for you. I think the value of a Mitchell Robinson is the fact that you don't have to run plays for him, and he'll still find ways to have an impact. You look at the Nuggets game, Mitchell Robinson didn't have a lot of opportunities to put the ball up, but he was still extremely impactful. You look at what he was able to do in that game. He had 7 offensive rebounds. Only had 4 field goal attempts, but most of those were off of putbacks and things like that. And, you look at what he's able to do defensively and make guys second guess, So that's where we really need him. Even the second to last three by Jokic, you see the things he can do defensively that other centers can't. He left his feet when Jokic pump faked, but he was able to recover and still contest that three from Jokic. So you can see the value that he brings. It's just, it's not necessarily offensively, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be. Just when you get the ball, be efficient, which is something we've never had an issue with Mitch. And, unless they told you something when you signed and said, okay, we're going to give you a larger role on the offense, you knew what it was. It's been like this for the last 2 years. I'm not sure why you thought you'd sign the contract and then things would completely change, especially when you brought in a point guard like Jalen Brunson that, for the most part, yes, he does have the ability to facilitate and things like that, but for the most part, he's looking to get a bucket. And then when the defense, collapses, he makes the right decision. And that's where you see opportunities presented for a guy like Mitchell Robinson. So, just got to woosah a little bit and just realize this is not the time to try and voice that opinion, especially when the team is playing well.
Hey, you got a $60 million contract, so your family and your future should be taken care of. So that shouldn't be an issue. You've had a kid before, so God willing, the latest baby, there's no health issues that that's on your mind and stuff. So I'm just hoping after 5 years that we'd be seeing a sense of maturity, but it's like never ending over the last several years of these cryptic, weird tweets or Snapchat comments, and then the next day he walks them back and it's like, come on, man, don't be such a goof. You should get a little older and stuff. My gut's telling me Brunson and a couple of the vets sat down with him and like, what the hell is wrong with you, man? Pull that shit and make an apology. And also shout out to CP for Knicks Fans TV. The narrative's changing, folks. The legacy media companies, they're going to the podcasters now. So I'm real happy and proud of CP, and he's a real important figure in the Knicks community, and that Mitch reached out to let CP know. That's a huge thing for all podcasters. He's really a pioneer, man. CP, shout out Knicks Fan TV, and obviously with our guy JD and Alex and the rest of the crew there. Great show, great people.
Yep, salute to Knicks Fan TV. Definitely paving the way for some of guys like us following up behind him. Let's see. You got 92 likes. Let's see if we can get 8 more, get us over that 100 threshold. Let's see what else we got going on.
Please, we don't ask much. It doesn't cost you anything. Please hit that subscribe. We're gonna have a like spike, man. Hit those spikes. Hit that. And folks, we are a blink away from 6.6 thousand subscribers. So do us a favor. You haven't subscribed, hit that subscriber button. You can see that we work awful hard behind the scenes, bring you, enlightening and entertaining content.
Facts. Mike Boy says Mitch scored off the dribble one game, and now he thinks he's SGA.
But he doesn't play Plumlee that many times, or other guys like he could do the off the dribble like that. But
I think the guy that he cooked though was a guard the last time. I forgot who.
Yeah, it was actually.
So Mitch he's building up some tape to showcase people like, look, I can do this. JJ says, how you were center in your 5th year with no hook shot and no post-up game, SMH. Well, in all fairness, they don't really allow him to showcase. So maybe he does have a little something, and he's doing it in practice, and he's not allowing him to. Because remember, Thibs says that Jericho Sims has some offensive moves and things like that, but we don't really get to see him showcase that much either. So I think the fact that
because he's a negative 96.
Well, I hear you on that one, but like I said, we don't really see the centers allowed to cook in the paint for the most part. So maybe it's just the way the offense is set up. We're not really allowed to see these guys do what they're able to because that's what Thibs is asking. So remains to be seen, but hopefully Mitch will get his opportunity, show us what he's able to do, so that way he won't feel as if he's being handcuffed.
I'd just be happy him shooting 70% from the foul line.
That's the first step. Kevin Middleton jumped off the deep end. He says, package Mitch, Obi, and RJ for my guy Laurie. I don't know about all that. Laurie's been cooking, but I'm not giving up all that for him.
Yeah, and that injury history always scares me. He's having a brilliant season, though.
Yeah, facts. Shout out to him. JJ says Mitch does this every year and never improves his offense. And I mean, to be honest, technically his offense has declined because his efficiencies is dipped.
Yeah, no doubt.
JJ says Mitch's offense is offensive.
Yeah, that's poetry.
Ala Y says it's not cryptic. He's literally covering for everyone on defense. Throw him a bone. Hashtag cardio Mitch. Yeah, I'm open to Mitch being given a little bit more leeway offensively, but this isn't the way to do it. If you feel this way, go talk to the coach and try not to make it public. Keep it private. And he's doing weird things like writing LOL after he's being benched late in games and I-Hart's closing games. And it's like, come on, man, cut all this cryptic stuff because this team seems like they have they're all pulling in the same direction. And Mitch, as being the defensive anchor, we can't have him pulling in an opposite direction. So just figure it out, and don't allow you thinking that you can do more to be a reason for you to be a negative for this team.
Yeah, and Mitch, if you're watching, man, we want the best for you, young man. But do you have that slide about him and the rookie, the guys from this last class?
No, I didn't load that one up.
Okay.
If you want to mention it, you can mention it. I can pull it up.
It's just, folks, I was very, very blunt on the air. I would never have signed him for $60 million. I wanted us to trade him last year. Trade him at the draft and sign and trade, whatever you needed to do. I wanted us to get rid of Mitch, partly because of no offensive game, partly because of low IQ, partly because of an injury history. And if you look at the guys I wanted us to select the center from Duke of last year, Mark Williams. And we also selected Jalen Duren, and then we never did Walker Kessler. So what we were talking about last week, Keith and I, is like, after he made those comments, Mitch, is if we did not have Mitch and did what Foxy said to do, trade him and bring on a rookie here, what would the ramifications be? And the ramifications, I think, are startling. So, Mitch, if you're watching this, Mark Williams, the guy I wanted us, is playing 10 less minutes than you. Is scoring 8 points to your 7.5, the 6.4 rebounds. Give him another 10 minutes. He'll have those 9 rebounds, 1.1 blocks versus 1.6. Again, 10 less minutes, 69% from the foul line. Look at Duran, 8.8 points, 8.9 rebounds, 63% from the foul line. Walker Kessler, 8.6 points, 8.3 rebounds, 2.3 blocks, even more blocks in less minutes than Mitch. So, Mitch, you should really take a step back. I brought up last week Dariq Lively, almost a 7'7" wingspan from Duke. You're replaceable, Mitch. Get your shit together, man. I don't know where you're thinking that where you are in this league playing, but you're absolutely replaceable. And look at the numbers by rookies. Imagine in their next 2 or 3 years. He's in the freaking league 5 years. These guys are not even, finishing with their first season. Where are these guys going to be 5 years from now? Light years ahead of Mitchell Robinson.
Foxy dropping ethers.
Word. Otherwise, Mark Williams is a bum. Well, is a bum that has better numbers than Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, I wouldn't go so far and say those 3 rookies are better than Mitch, because I think defensively, Rich is still one of the best, if not the best, defensive center. He gives Rudy Gobert a run for his money, I think, at times. And also, you look at the offensive rebounding percentage. I don't think these guys are as good of offensive rebounders as Mitchell Robinson is. So I hear you, Foxy. I think the Knicks probably would have been set in a good position if we decided to move off of Mitch and bring in one of these rookies. But I still don't want to undervalue what Mitch contributes to this team as a defensive anchor and as a terrific rebounder for this squad.
I'm
Also,
with you, but if you say stupid things that hurt the rhythm of this team, then that's a cancer to me.
Yep, I hear you. I hear you. It's definitely still a maturity issue for Mitchell Robinson, but also you have to remember too that these guys are playing on bad teams, so sometimes you get some inflated stats. So that's something to make note of as well. Oh man,
No doubt.
I messed this up. Give me 1 second. I messed up something. Shouldn't be touching stuff in the background.
Gregory Weiner, go easy on Mitch. Where would we be without him? Well, we were.
I mean, we did miss him for a month and a half, right? If that or what it was.
He's key to this defense, and in his first year, we have a true point guard. Yeah, but it looks like RJ's the only one that passed him.
Yeah.
Shout out to DeRoss.
Yep. Salute. Thank you guys for tuning in. Gregory Weiner says, don't take social media so serious. I hear you don't take it so serious, but you also don't want to have too many distractions for a team, especially when you're trying to gear up for a playoff push. And, this is New York City, so everything is amplified when it starts to get to the public. So, for Mitch, I would just say try to handle that internally. Don't allow stuff like that to bubble up to social media, because the first thing people are going to do, they're going to take it, they're going to run with it, and they're going to try to get some clicks. So, as long as we aren't made aware, you can still keep that contained, and you can still put that, you can still discuss it with the coach and with the players. Even if you don't want to discuss it with the coach, talk to Jalen Brunson, man to man. Seems like Jalen Brunson is someone that can be, easily approached. So just like, hey, look for me a little bit more. I feel like I'm not getting enough touches. Be a little bit more mature with the way you approach it, and that's my advice to Mitch.
And call your old buddy Taj Gibson. What would Taj do in this situation, man? Hopefully, you made some friends, man, and say, hey, Taj, man, this is bothering me. You're a mature vet. Talk to me. What should I be doing?
Yeah, get a little bit of guidance from some of the guys that used to play in the league. All right. So, Foxy, this is the part of the stream where we have you discuss one of the potential targets the Knicks could pursue in the upcoming draft. So, who did you have prepared for us today?
Folks, I said earlier, without any, I'd go full Taylor Hendricks is my guy, but I want to show other guys, and probably the highest pedigree of anybody that came into the draft this year, or in the draft, or coming into the beginning of this college season, was Dariq from Montverde with Duke. 6 span, 18 years old. He's an excellent wing prospect, but he sustained a fractured foot in August, and that missed the beginning of the season, came back, and then had another lower leg injury that really curtailed him. So he's finally healthy and playing and getting some playing time. He's a good athlete. He's smooth. He's absolutely smooth. A little streaky shooter, questionable shot selection, but as you can see, shot 43%, and it's very difficult with Duke teams to look good. And, we've seen that, but he has solid size, good frame for a wing, and he's become a consistent threat from three for them. So he's a solid defender. I think he can guard from 1 to 3. May have some issues with quicker players, but and I have their comparison of Keldon John that, I think they go again. I think a lot of scouts, he'll go before. I think he'll probably go higher than where we're picking at this point, but you never know what happens. And like I said, he was an elite prospect. Number one, it was high school player of the year, and he won the award last year. At Montverde with a stacked team and stuff like that. So unfortunately, those injuries, we really couldn't see him at his best. But just wanted to give you different people that may be available. We're picking, and I don't know if we take him, but some people really like guys that that have. He's a very smooth player, man. Dirty Dancer said he would not be mad at Dariq
with Whitehead. Do you view him as somebody that'd be a good fit next to RJ? Would he be the guy that would move RJ back down to the 2, or do you think RJ would stay at the 3, and then Whitehead would be somebody that come in at the 2 and replace a guy like Quentin Grimes in the lineup?
Probably the latter. I think he'd probably come in at the 2 at 6'6", so you'd have both of those guys. And but I think I don't see that much burn in his first season and that with the guys that we have here. But he's talented. So if he's able to, cut down on some of the questionable, turnovers, but you can see I always, from the shooting position, some of my tenets is that if I see a guy that's shooting 60% as a shooting guard, a small forward, that's a flag for me. This kid's shooting 85%. So that really lends well that all those legs, he can shoot. And like I said, if you watch him, very smooth. Some people said Bradley Beal. I don't see that. But if other people are commenting that he has certain plays like that, so he definitely has talent. I don't know if he'd have the minutes. We just talked about Obi to get the rhythm. But things happen, and I just wanted to give you different flavors over the last month or so, players that may be available in our range that, could be surprised and that we could select.
And I see he's shooting. Go ahead.
I wish he was a touch more athletic.
A little bit more bunnies.
Well, I said to a couple of people, he's a smoother athlete than RJ, but he's a little heavy-legged like RJ. And that's why I'm crazy about Taylor Hendricks, man. I love his athleticism and all that other stuff. And that 6'9" and that 7-foot wingspan. And we need a 6'8", 6'9" guy on this team that's a shot blocker who's hitting, shooting around 40% from three, like Dariq and stuff like that. So from a complimentary for our roster, Taylor Hendricks all the way, man. But don't be surprised Dariq goes higher than people think because of, like I said, his legacy, what he did in high school. Same thing with Jarace Walker out of Houston. He was at IMG and, you see certain things. Hey, Brandon Miller had a better game. He bounced back with 19 points yesterday for Alabama after a 0-point game. But it's weird. In high school, he had a great mid-range game. You don't see it in college with the scheme that he's playing at Alabama. And what I said about Jarace Walker, the power forward for Houston, he sees the floor beautifully. He can really pass, have good handles. You don't see that much. It's 7 points yesterday for Houston. So a lot of these teams, you don't really see the player that they could actually be. And Dariq is a better player than you see at Duke.
Okay. And also, seeing able to knock down a 3-point at 43%. So that's something that will translate over to the NBA? Think he'll be a knockdown shooter?
Yeah, and like I said, not only translate, but when you see 85% from the foul line, I like guys that have touch. He has touch. So, that's Keldon Johnson, it took a few years, but we've seen him with the Spurs and stuff. He's become a nice ball player, man. Very nice ball player. And so I think Dariq can be that type of player on the right team.
And defensively, you think he'll be up to par and enough for Thibs to actually give him some play time? Because we know if he's not going to be active and be, defend on a string like Thibs wants his guys to do and go out there and close out and run guys off the 3-point line, then he's not going to see minutes. And, we got a guy like Evan Fournier who can knock down a three at a pretty good clip, and he's not getting any minutes. So do you think Whitehead
he's going to be a better defender than Fournier?
But even that's not saying a lot, though, Fox.
I know. But like I said, he's slightly more athletic than RJ. So I think, and he's a toughie. He has a great frame and stuff. So I think he'd be a solid defender. I wouldn't say elite, but I don't think he'd be a brutal that somebody we have to cover for like Fournier either.
He won't be somebody that teams will target, basically.
Exactly.
Okay, that works. That definitely works. All right.
Thanks, folks. We appreciate that.
So we'll end it there. Definitely had a solid stream. Went on a little bit longer than expected, but when you're having a good time, you don't cut it short, right? All right, and we also got to the 100 like threshold. We got to 101, so thank you guys for tuning in. Got 104 people in chat and 101 likes. I think that's a pretty good ratio. So thank you all for supporting the live stream. We really do appreciate it. We'll be back again, next Sunday, right? What's the
next Sunday?
Next
I'm not
schedule?
sure if anybody has the schedule handy. I think there is a Sunday game next week or no?
No, they play Monday against Minnie. They play Wednesday against Miami, Thursday against Orlando, and then they're off again until the following Monday against Houston.
Beautiful. So same time, same bat channel, 6 o'clock next Sunday.
Yep, and we'll be able to discuss the most 3 recent games, and then maybe we'll even do a little bit of a pregame talk about Houston and see how we'll be able to match up against them. I think right now, a lot of guys are targeting 50 wins to see if we can get there. I think we'd have to go, 8-2 in our last 10 in order
Yeah.
to get there. You think that's a possibility, or you want to run through or you want to do that next stream, see if we can get to the 50?
We could do that next stream, but more than anything, and what we touched on earlier is I wouldn't mind going 48 or 47 wins rather than 50 if it meant that we were going with Deuce and Obi a few more minutes to rest JB and Julius getting into the playoffs. I'd sacrifice a couple of wins for them. I'd be happy with a fresher Jalen and Julius going into the playoffs than hitting 50 wins.
Makes sense. I understand you on that one.
And folks, in the comments, not necessarily, but in the comments on the replay, if there's certain players in the draft you want us to touch on, let us know. It'll be over in a few weeks, so we'll have more definite draft shows coming your way.
Yep. Let us know. Give us suggestions in the chat. If you have a segment you want us to discuss or a player you want us to profile, just let us know, and we'll try to incorporate that into the next stream. We really do appreciate you guys supporting. We've been on for over 2 hours, and you guys have been supporting the live streams strong. So thank you all for that. We really do appreciate it. Once again, we'll be back next Sunday, 6 p.m. to have another stream and talk more about our New York Knicks. Once again, I'm Keith, host of Sports Vibes TV, joined as always by my co-host Stephen Fox.